Hello everyone, welcome to Jargus Ranger Review. This time we're looking at the second episode of Dino Supercharge, Forgive and Forget. Now this one wasn't quite the same as the last one. Already things are normalized. And even though end of last episode we had Prince Philip show up, we don't see him at all this time. But yes, Heckyl and Slyde are our new main villains. But we quickly see that they don't agree with how their plan should go. Heckyl plans on being sneaky, careful, and manipulative to steal the Energems, while Slyde just wants to use his power to burst through and steal them by force. So you have two different approaches. I kinda like Heckyl's first because it's a little more strategic. And he's got a really nice accent. So, especially compared to the other Rangers, I mean, he's most comparable to Ivan. But even then, it's a different flavor. I like it. And this time, their plan is, they brought back Stingrage from the beginning of Dino Charge. I don't know why they keep reusing the past monsters. Probably Sentai footage, but still. You could do a little more original. There's no even explanation as to why either. But his power is different this time, so that's good. He's using the venom to erase the memories of anyone who drinks it. I forget what it did before. Oh well, it was a while back. Long while back, actually. Point is, you have to find a way to get people to drink it, but then Heckyl takes control, and he decides to use it by force. Now back on Earth, Riley comes across someone who used to bully him, supposedly, over his lack of physical prowess. So he challenges him to do some arm wrestling, at the Dino Cafe that is, and he's using his Energem to toy with him, but then Kendall interrupts and makes him get back to work. So this guy, named Bert, and the two dudes he has with him who remain completely unnamed. They don't matter anyway. They just laugh at him. They call him Brainiac. So that's the end of that. Until we see the two outside and they're preparing for a marathon. At least Bert is. And Riley decides to challenge him to climb over a wall. To which he plans to cheat his bet again by using his green Energem. Don't you know you're not supposed to use your powers for personal gain, boy? Anyway, he does it too much in his jump and ends up getting stuck in a tree. And then Heckyl arrives after he's left humiliated. And he suggests going into the marathon so that he can teach him a lesson he won't forget. And just then Stingrage attacks. And so the two are trying to fend him off. Riley forces Heckyl to hide, not knowing who or what he truly is. Only one little problem. The other Rangers show up and start fighting him too, while morphed. But just about when Riley's about to get a hit and lose his memory, Heckyl himself takes the hit from Stingrage. And he just looks dazed and confused. But he can see the other Rangers, or Power Rangers, so he really knows their identities now. Well, most of the other Rangers, we don't see Kendall or Philip, wherever they are. And with that, they decide to take him to his base because they got nothing else to take him to. Plus, he already is missing all his memories, so what's he gonna do about it? Of course, this leads to another issue that they quickly find a cure, and they spray it on to Heckyl, and he assures them that he'll keep their secret that the Power Ranger. Yeah, I really doubt that. Because he smirks to the side while they figure out what to do. And he plans to take the Energems when they're not looking. Because he sees where they're being hidden and stored. However, it's not that easy because Stingrage attacks again. However, it's not that easy because Stingrage is actually having his venom put into the city's water supply. Which of course is being sent to a bunch of people around. You know, the marathon. So everyone's there to cheer Riley on. Yes, and Bert is there too. Problem is, midway through, they notice the water taking effect. Especially Riley. I mean, Shelby and Tyler notice that it's doing something, but it's too late. they get affected as well and lose their memory. And Kendall gets Kota off to the side and messes with him, says he's his friend, and takes it in his gem. Well, great. Of course, Riley takes it right away and brings it back to Kendall, but he knows where they're gonna be. Heckyl does. Unfortunately, what he doesn't know is that they're already working on a mass cure for everybody, especially the Rangers first. And it's funny with Chase, because to get him to take it, he says it's cologne. He says, oh, alright. Seems his personality hasn't changed a single bit. Even if he does say he don't know how to skateboard. Yeah, you know he does. And even Bert ends up taking it. Only problem is, Riley cures him, because his friends are chasing him, because he's freaking out at what they're trying to tell him. But then Riley sprays him and he gets cured as well. Oh yeah, and Kendall is using the Plesiozord to mass dump it over the city. The cure, antidote, whatever they call it. That was a really nice touch, I like it. Anyway, once Bert figured this out, he's in shock, and Riley's trying to convince someone else not to drink the water. So he walks over, realizing what's going on, and he just knocks a whole table of water cups for the runners to just hit the ground. He says he's always the smartest cookie in the jar, which is kind of funny. And what happens next is probably the most wooden part of the whole episode. Bert and Riley are saying how Bert was always jealous of Riley because he was so much smarter than him. But Riley, of course, didn't have the physical powers back then. Which I really think was hammered in as a lesson for kids. But it really seemed like completely out of place the way they delivered their lines. It just sounded like a complete PSA episode moment at that point. And even lasted to the end of the episode, which is after they beat Stingrage. Because what they do is, they argue for a bit as to who should finish in last. Because, you know, they were helping everyone. At which point they just wrap their arms around their sides and just walk together, tied for last place. Which isn't bad. But onto the battle that happened right before that. Your Fury is with Stingrage, trying to help pour his venom into the city's water supply. Your Fury barely does anything. He's basically just giving orders. Because when the Vivix attack, Ivan fights them straight on. For a time at least, he really doesn't get much battle time at all. I guess it's just there to remind us that he still exists. I'm guessing. So what ends up happening is Stingrage has a lot better armor. Their attacks can't really go through him. That is until Tyler has this new Dino X charger, which increases Dino Steel's power and gives him two big ass claws on his hands. And he does his like jumping spiral drill thing to pierce through Stingrage. And then the Rangers use their Morpher blast slashes on him to defeat him. And he doesn't really have an explosion because he staggers off and orders for a Magna Beam. I mean, we don't have the big boss tell him to do it, which is a change up already from the last episode. So he actually jumps over the rail and into the water, and then he grows big. And apparently they combine that new Dino X charger with the Megazord, and they become and that's what makes them the supercharged. I mean, the Rangers get all this sort of metallic armor over their bodies. And Tyler especially, he has a new sword inside the Megazord cockpit. And when it can do it, it has a turning thing inside the hilt. And it can fit all 5 Energems in it for one big attack to finish him. So they just swipe it down and destroy Stingrage. Well, no. That weakens him, and then they use just a green blast from one of the arms, and that destroys him, and he really just tumbles down and blows up really quickly, with hardly any fanfare at all, which is one complaint I had towards the end of the first half of the season. There's really not much weight or magnificence put into you have Megazord Finishing Blast, especially for the new ones that we were getting pretty quickly. Now, in one final moment, everyone is making a toast on the ruined battleship, except Curio is ordered, yes, he's still around, to fill up the cups. And of course he finds what's left of the venom, of all things. You can guess what this is happening, because Heckyl says a toast. Where Slyde's plan failed, he'll succeed. And that's because he found the Ranger's base. Of course they all take a drink, and they fail. Because they can't remember anything of what they were doing. They still remember themselves, but not anything else. But pretty much that whole day was wasted. So yeah, he's nowhere close to the victory as he was before the episode started. Now, overall, it's a solid episode. It had some moments that are good and some are bad. But I found myself a little more interested in it than the last episode, which is a good thing. Because the previous one is kind of retreading a lot of ground. This one would have been pretty good if they didn't hammer in that relationship with Bert and Riley so difficultly. I mean, the message was just thrown in your face with no subtlety at all. I mean, it's a kids show, so I can let it slide, but it takes a little out of the entertainment value, which is the problem here. But ultimately, I enjoyed it. Oh, and there's a scene where when Heckyl finds out the Energens are already gone from the base, he gets upset and Slyde takes control. And what Slyde does is he opens a part of his sword. His base is circular, so it's like the counterpart to Heckyl's pocket watch. And he says he'll do it his way by force. And storms out before having the river poisoned. So yeah, that's one big thing I like. The dynamic between Heckyl and Slyde. They're very different. And I want to see how this dynamic continues. Because it's very interesting to see this in a Power Rangers villain. Because really we haven't had one that had like a split personality like this. And I want to see that expanded upon. Because basically you have one is strategic, the other is a brute force. Eventually these two are going to have to compromise in their plans a lot. And even switch in between towards the end. Which I think that's going to happen. Though the writers have been pretty good so far. I want to see how they mix it up. This is definitely worth watching. Just for a bit of character development. More so on the villain side than on the Rangers. Well, no, we do see a new ability. I'm sure it's going to affect the Megazords even more over time. So yes, definitely a must-watch episode. Anyway, this is Jargus here. Thanks for watching. Until we meet again, let the power protect you.